12 World Cup titles, a win rate no other national team in world sport can match. And in 2026, Australia isn't just defending a trophy, they're chasing something no nation has ever done. Welcome to Flop Files. Okay, let's dive right into this. When we talk about sports dynasties, we usually throw around names of famous football clubs or basketball franchises, right? But what if I told you the single most dominant machine in international sports history actually wears green and gold?
12. That is the staggering number of Rugby League World Cup titles won by the Australian national men's team, universally known as the Kangaroos. Just to put that into perspective for a second, there have only been 16 Rugby League World Cups ever held since the whole thing kicked off in 1954. Australia has contested 15 of those 16 finals, walking away with the crown 12 times. It's literally an unparalleled sporting dynasty.
And honestly, it gets even crazier. Across their entire history, playing well over 400 test matches, the Kangaroos boast an all-time win rate hovering right around 70%. That's insane. This is an empire that began building its foundation way back in 1908 during their very first international tour. They're the fourth oldest national side in the sport, and for over a century, they have systematically dismantled almost every challenger that has dared to step onto the pitch.
Chapter 1: A Century of Dominance, the Unstoppable Golden Era.
The sheer scale of their reign was frankly terrifying. We're talking 6 consecutive World Cup titles without a single interruption: 1975, 1977, 1988, 1992, 1995, and 2000. During this golden era, particularly through the 80s and 90s, the Kangaroos didn't just beat teams, they completely revolutionized the sport's fitness, tactics, and sheer physicality. They'd regularly embark on tours of Great Britain and France and just sweep them, earning nicknames like the Invincibles. I mean, they made winning look like an absolute formality.
By the year 2000, Australia was operating at a level that seemed almost unfair. They set the widest margin of victory in tournament history by absolutely demolishing Russia 110-4. 110-4. They were untouched, untouchable. But then, fast forward to 2008, the World Cup final, played on Australian soil. The Kangaroos were heavy favorites to win their 7th straight title, but in a sudden, shocking upset, New Zealand stunned the world. They beat Australia 34-20 to claim their very first World Cup. It was this massive wake-up call that completely shook the rugby league establishment to its core.
Chapter 2: Cracks in the Armor. No dynasty is untouchable. If you're enjoying this documentary, subscribe to Flop Files and share this video with a sports fan. We uncover the stories behind the world's greatest sporting moments and biggest comebacks. So, that vulnerability we saw in 2008, it deepened significantly a decade later. In 2019, in front of a sold-out, absolutely roaring crowd in Auckland, Tonga stunned the Kangaroos, winning 16-12. And listen, this wasn't just a loss. It was a historic turning point. It marked the very first time Australia had ever lost to a Tier 2 side since the system was introduced, and the first time they'd lost to a team other than New Zealand, Great Britain, or England since way back in 1978. The Pacific nations were officially rising up to challenge the throne.
But luck, you don't win 12 World Cups by rolling over when things get tough. Chapter 3: Rebuilding the Empire, the Counterattack.
To truly understand their modern legacy, we have to look at how they responded after that initial 2008 shock. The Kangaroos successfully fought off the rising challengers to claim 3 consecutive world titles. They took the 2013 World Cup in the UK, defended their crown on home soil in 2017 in a brutal 6-0 final against England, and then went to Old Trafford in the delayed 2021 tournament, which was actually played in 2022, and decisively beat a surging Samoan team 30-10. The three-peat was complete. The empire had struck back.
Of course, an empire is only as strong as its architects, right? This dynasty was built on the backs of generational talents. Players like Wally Lewis and Mal Meninga, who spearheaded that invincibility of the 80s and 90s, with Meninga actually later transitioning into an incredibly successful head coach for the national team. Then you have Cameron Smith, the legendary hooker who became the first player to ever surpass 50 caps for the Kangaroos, even wearing a special gold chevron to mark his unprecedented leadership. And today, you've got players like James Tedesco, the talismanic fullback who guided them to glory in 2022. These are the men who literally constructed and maintained this historic dynasty.
Chapter 4: The Ultimate 2026 Test, a New Battlefield. Australia is chasing a record-breaking 13th overall title and their 4th in a row.
So, the battleground is officially set for October and November 2026.
This World Cup will be co-hosted by Australia and, for the very first time in this capacity, Papua New Guinea, a nation where rugby league isn't just a sport, it's basically a religion. The passion and raw emotion in these host cities are going to be off the charts. But here is where it gets incredibly tough for the defending champions. The organizers have completely slashed the number of competing nations.
The real danger lies in this newly condensed 10-team format. The tournament has been chopped down from 16 teams to just 10. Why? Basically to guarantee that every single match is fiercely competitive. I mean, look at Group A. It's essentially the group of death. Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and the Cook Islands. The Kangaroos will literally kick off their campaign against their fierce rivals, the top-ranked Kiwis, on opening night. Meanwhile, Groups B and C are deeply interconnected, loaded with heavyweights like England, Samoa, Tonga, and an incredibly dangerous Papua New Guinea side playing with home field advantage. The path to the final is heavily mined.
International Rugby League chair Troy Grant summed it up perfectly. The international game is riding a wave of unprecedented momentum. With sold-out stadiums, record television ratings, and the rapid expansion in the Pacific, this is definitely not the World Cup of the 1990s where Australia could just show up and expect to win by 40 points. The talent pool has completely decentralized, and the physical intensity is going to be something we've rarely seen before.
The real reason this path is getting so much harder for Australia is the massive rise of the Pacific nations. In recent years, absolute superstar players with dual heritage, guys like Jerome Luai and Brian To'o, have increasingly chosen to represent their Pacific heritage over Tier 1 nations. This shift has completely disrupted the global balance. Samoa made history by reaching the 2022 World Cup final. Tonga has proven they can beat Australia and New Zealand. Fiji is a perennial semi-final threat. These teams aren't just making up the numbers anymore. They are legitimate, dangerous contenders fully capable of pulling off a massive upset.
For over a century, rugby league has essentially had one law. The Australians usually win. 12 titles, 3 in a row, and an empire few nations have ever come close to matching. But in 2026, with the Pacific nations rising faster than ever, the Kangaroos face their most dangerous field yet. Thanks for watching Flop Files.